Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Art and Recap. I'm your artist Faye, and today we are reading chapter 126 till 130 of Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 127 is called Divination Isn't All Powerful. And you know what? I already kind of know where this chapter is going. So, first thing first, we actually have Melissa again telling Klein that, hey, dinner is at the table. And Klein's like, I will come after I finish a thing. I freshen up from, work, and I'll have dinner. The leftover that they left for him. So Klein's like, okay, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna do a thing first, right? So he goes up to his room, and the thing that he was actually going to do is divine where the fuck Tracy is. So that is exactly what he does. He does his ritual thing and enters the Grey Fog world. And in the Grey Fog world, he asked, where is Tracy? Tracy's whereabouts, basically. And he found out that she actually bordered she actually already boarded a train. And it's like, oh, okay, I don't know, should I be telling this to Captain Dunes and the others? Like, Captain already said that he's contacting the other midnight poets, and, well, not other midnight poets, but people from Backlund and other areas, so that they can keep an eye out for Tracy. So, like, do I want to be suspicious? Yes, no, no, he doesn't. So he's like, I'm gonna keep this information to myself because, again, Tracy already left. So what else is he supposed to do, right? So he just does his own business and eats the leftover food that Melissa left for him. The next day, Klein goes to work and Roseanne is excitedly telling him, I have good news, Klein. And Klein's like, oh my god, did they catch Tracy? And she's like, who the hell's Tracy? Klein was like, you don't need to know who Tracy is. And when they were talking about that, I was like, oh my god, is Roseanne pregnant? Is she pregnant? And turns out, no, she's actually not pregnant. She's excited because the captain's request has been approved. Captain Dunn has been requesting for the Nighthawks to have more people on the civilian side, so that the clerks, the civilians, don't have to overwork themselves. And she's super happy about that because that means that she can actually take the day off and stuff like that. Um, so when she explained this, she actually said that the new recruits were from the police department that came across supernatural shenanigans, right? Supernatural incidents. So I was thinking to myself, wait a second, is it possible that we're going to see Bitch McBatten again? Because again, he's Bitch McBatten. And I was thinking to myself, why do I feel like one of these new police officers are going to betray the Nighthawks? It's just a feeling that I have. And I was thinking that if Bitch McBatten actually joins the Nighthawks as, a civilian clerk, right? I feel like the possibility of him betraying them is extremely, extremely large. I don't know. It's just the vibe he gives off. Definitely not because of his name. So after Klein and Roseanne chat, Klein actually goes down to go to his mysticism lessons, but he wanted to actually talk to Captain Dunes first. But he's like, okay, Captain seems really busy right now because he's like typing on his type machine really, really vigorously. So I'm just gonna let him be and ask about Tracy another time. So I'm just gonna go and meet old Neil, right, for his mysticism lesson. So as he heads down, he notices the gas lamps and he's like, wait a second, I seem to have made a terrible mistake. So he's like, wait, no way. He realized that the trains in this world, in this timeline, don't function the same way as in the modern world. He is so used to the convenience of 24-hour trains that he forgot that that's not a thing here. So he's like, wait a second, it's actually possible that Tracy is still in Tingen and is just about to board the latest train. So he actually rushes over to the recreational room where all the other Nighthawks are and headed straight to Leonard, who was just minding his own business by the windowsill and being helpless at reading poetry. And when I read that Leonard was looking helpless by the windowsill, I was like, why is he having trouble just reading poetry? Is he having trouble like figuring out what makes it poetry. Like, what's going on with your brain, Leonard? Anyway, Klein ignores the other Nighthawks in the recreation room and was like, Leonard, I have a question for you. And they're like, um, will it be that you want to learn tricks to entertain the ladies, Klein? Is what Leonard asked. And Klein's like, haha, no, come. Um, so they headed outside, well, not really outside, but at like the hallway, to have a small chat. And Klein told him, okay, here's the thing. Um, I have information about Tracy because before that, Leonard actually successfully guessed that Klein had a successful divination, but again, he is not going to ask further because that's their deal, right? No further questions. So Klein's like, hey, so I have information about Tracy, and I think she's still here and she's about to board the trains. Blah 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 blah. And he explains all of that, and Leonard is like, okay, the earliest train that's going to leave Tingen is going to be at 7. We have no time to lose. I am going to talk to the captain and tell him that I got a reliable tip. And and Klein's like, okay, you go do that, and I'm going back to my mysticism lesson because, again, he's not supposed to be doing field work right now. So he goes back to Old Neil, and yeah. So Old Neil offers him coffee because, again, it's early in the morning, and Klein is like, yes, of course, thank you. And Old Neil watches him put 3 sugar cubes and milk into his coffee and is like, girl, you are going to rot your teeth with that. And Klein was saying, oh, no, 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 it's not that I have a sweet tooth. I just prefer my coffee like this. I only drink coffees like this. And when Klein said that he doesn't have a sweet tooth, I was thinking to myself, say that to the ice cream you devoured at your welcoming party, Klein. Say that to the ice cream. But yeah, also the iced tea that he likes from that one bakery. Yeah, Klein, who are you trying to delude? So while drinking his super sweet coffee, Klein explains to Old Neil that the captain has a tip about Tracy and that they're actually headed out, and he's wondering about what goes on over there. So Old Neil is like, the tip, is it made by divination? Because divination, it depends how detailed it is, It could be very, very fickle. Let's just say it like that. And Klein's like, well, we don't know the train number and stuff. So it's not really a very detailed tip. And Old Neil's like, yeah, divination is like very symbolic. You don't really know a lot, and a lot can be wrong at the same time. So it's very wise to take it with a grain of salt, basically, is what he's trying to say. And Klein's like, yeah, I totally agree. Divination is not all too powerful because, again, there was another incident where he wasn't prepared, like he wasn't divining as well. Like it was a very, very crude hunch. So he's like, yeah, I know what you mean. And when he said that, he felt his potion be digested, and he has become a full seer. Okay, so before the chapter ends, you actually have a small bit about Trissy and how she boarded the train, but then she went out in the middle and took another train. And again, she was making sure that she didn't take the direct train all the way to Backlund. She was headed to Backlund, right? And I have a feeling that Backlund is actually the scenario for our next season. Because again, Klein went there at the end of the season, right? At the end of the Donghua. And also, uh, Audrey is there. And that means that Force and her friend Xia Darecha is also there. So a lot of things are going down in Backlund in next season is what I'm feeling here. Anyway, Tracy this did a lot of stuff just to get people off her trail, and that was because she's an experienced assassin. So yeah, chapter 127 is called Laying the Foundations. In this chapter, Klein fully digested his seer potion, and he's like, you know what, I think I need to change the way I switch on the cogitation mode. The spirit vision mode is what he's trying to say. So he was thinking, okay, how do I switch that? Like, what action should I do to make it, subtle and not obvious that I'm switching it on? And he was thinking maybe I should rub the thumb, um, the joints of my middle finger with my thumb is what he's thinking. But then he's like, wait, that would be really hard to do in the middle of battle if I were to have a revolver and a cane in both hands. Like, how am I supposed to do that? So he's like, okay, let's think of something else. And what he came up with is basically clicking his molars. He clicks his left molar to turn it on and his right molar to turn it off. And when he said it, I was thinking, you can click your molars individually? Because maybe it's just me, but I was trying it out. I was clicking my molars, the back of my teeth, to figure out how he does it. And I find it super hard because my teeth are clicking together like both left and right side. Yeah, like guys, you guys need to try it and tell me, can you do it? Because I am having so much trouble doing it. But Klein apparently has no issues. And also the first time he said he's gonna click with his left molar, I was like, does he not have a right molar? How is that possible? But apparently he has his right molars. And also I was thinking, damn, if he has cavities, this is going to be painful as fuck. So anyway, continuing with the story, he actually has his lessons with Old Neil, and while he was having his lessons, he was thinking about how he should progress with the clown stuff because he needs the clown potion, right? And he was thinking, do I secretly advance to the clown or not? Because he's like, I don't think secretly advancing to clown is the best option if I am going to be staying with the Nighthawks for a while. Because again, he won't be able to use his other powers, right? His clown powers. He'll be stuck being a seer then. And he's like, that's not very smart, to be honest. So he's going to do what Dolly did and just, write to the headquarters that, hey, I am now a completed seer. I kind of need the next potion, so I need a little help here. So that's basically his thing. That's what he's trying to do. But first, his idea is that he needs to lay the foundation with the captain. He needs to drop hints that he digested the clown potion, not the clown potion, the seer potion, right? But here's the thing, he digested it within a month, and that is completely unheard of. So he is dropping hints about the acting method without saying the acting method, because again, he does not want to alert the higher ups at all. So he's thinking all of that while he was having classes with Old Neil. So after the lesson, Old Neil tells him that he is now adequate enough to create his own charms. And Klein is very excited for that. That means he can make his own domains that are limited to the Evernight Goddess, that are very, very similar to the powers of the Midnight Poets and the Nightmares. They're basically, the thing that he did with the sun god ritual charm thing. So he is creating charms of his own, but again, because he is a believer of the Evernight Goddess and the Nighthawks are again associated with the Evernight Goddess, all of their charms that they have are based on her domain again. Before he leaves for his next lesson, which is combat lesson, he actually has lunch and he actually goes up and sees Leonard and the others at the cafeteria. Let's just call it like that. They don't necessarily say that it's a cafeteria, but they do have a place where they get their free lunches at. Before he got his food though, he went to visit Captain Dunes and ask about Trissy. And Captain is like, yeah, we didn't find her at the Tingen station, but we did hear from some other people that she got off in the middle of the journey on her way to the backland, to backland basically. And he's like, yeah, that's regrettable, but again, at least they kind of know where she's headed, right? Klein actually also started dropping hints about him possibly having digested the potion already. And I just find it so funny because he was just thinking about it this morning and he instantly did it. I thought that he would at least give it, I don't know, a week or a couple days to simmer in his head until he takes action and tell Captain about his well, not directly tell him about his digestion of the seer potion, but more like, yeah, that he doesn't hear any voices anymore or sees any shadows for a while now, and that whenever he visits the divination club, his his seer potion kind of calms down, his magic calms down and stuff like that. Yada yada yada. He also tells Captain Dunst that he was incredibly inspired by the maxim of the mystery priors, which is do as you wish but do no harm, and that he made something similar towards the seers, right? To the seer potions, probably something along the lines of scam as much as you want, but be sure to remember that divination is not all powerful. Something like that. Yeah, so he's like, yeah. And you know what, when he was explaining all of this to Captain Dunst, Captain took out his pipe and sniffed at it. And when he did that, I was thinking, oh my god, he thinks it's so unbelievable, he thinks he's in a dream. So he's like, is this real, is this real life, or is this just fantasy? Caught in the middle. Okay, I'm not gonna sing the Bohemian Rhapsody, but that song has been stuck in my head because one of my videos kind of is blowing up a little bit on TikTok and Instagram. It's the Werwin Smith gameplay video where I accidentally killed an NPC by throwing it on a lake. Yeah. It's on my shorts too, but it's flopping on shorts compared to TikTok and Instagram, which is surprising because usually my shorts do a lot more better than Insta. Anyway, he went out to go grab lunch for him and old Neil, and while he was out, he was thinking, must I join the circus? And then he realized, wait a second, there's no fixed circuses in Tingen, they're all roaming ones. And this is what I was wondering, like, in the second chapter, is the reason why he's in Backland because the circus is there? Is that it? And he was also thinking, being a seer is still a respectable occupation. Like, if Melissa found out, he can still keep his head up high. Like, she's probably gonna side eye him because, again, Melissa doesn't really seem to be the type to be believing in supernatural nonsense, right? She's a very practical minded girl. So he was thinking, Melissa. Well, he's not really thinking about Melissa. I was thinking about Melissa and how she's gonna be judging him. But yeah, she's like, being a seer is still kind of respectable, but if I were a clown and if I were to join a circus, my social reputation would be hella damaged. Like, damn. And yeah, so I was thinking, how did the others act as a clown back in the good old days? Because, like, before the blasphemy slates was revealed, how can they be doing the clown potions? Like, how can they digest the clown potion without acting like a clown? And when he was saying that, I was saying, well, there are probably jesters around in ye olde times, right? Maybe they just want you to be more of a trickster, not necessarily a clown, right? Is that possible? Is that a thing? Because again, trickster gods are a thing. And if you've been watching my videos ever since the Donghua released and my reaction videos basically, you know that I was also wondering how Klein is going to pull off acting as a clown, right? Because again, I always felt like Klein is very self-conscious, like he is self-conscious of his reputation, especially in Tingen where people know him. And I am glad that he actually thinks the same, that he was thinking about this in this chapter, because that just means that Klein and I are on the same wavelength. We are kinning each other. Is this why? Is this why I am lusting after Leonard? Not only am I a fragment of Kim Dokcha, I am also a fragment of Klein Moretti. Is that it? Also, this is an ORV reference. Don't take it seriously, guys. I have no idea how Lord of the Mysteries ends. If it's going to be the same ending as like ORV with, you know. Should I spoil ORV here? Omniscient Reader's viewpoint. Should I? Should I not? I shouldn't, probably. I shouldn't. But if you know, you know. You know? So before we start off with the next chapter, I would actually like to tell you guys that my commissions are still open. Actually, the illustration that you guys are seeing right now, this hot demon babe, it's actually a commission. I still have one slot open, and I am working on the second commission. I'm closing my commission for December because it's Christmas time, and you guys know how hectic the season is. So yeah, one last slot open, and then I will close it at around December. My Vision link is down in the description below, just a reminder to you guys. So yeah, if you guys want to commission me to draw your friends an OC, maybe your OC, I am open. One last slot. Okay, bye. Chapter 128 is called The Impoverished Fool. We start this chapter off with Klein heading over to his workout session with the Knight Captain, with the Knight Gawain. During their short workout break, like a 15-minute workout break for Klein to catch his breath, they had a small conversation, which is rare because again, usually Captain. Why am I always saying Captain Gawain? Knight Gawain. He is very, very quiet. He's very strict and doesn't really talk much to Klein. So this time they have a small conversation. Klein asked Gawain if he could teach him how to work with other weapons aside from guns. Well, actually, you know what? He's not really teaching him guns, but like, hand-to-hand combat. But Klein was like, can you teach me how to wield a sword, rapier, spears, whatever? And I was thinking, that's a lot of weapon, Klein. I don't think you can master one in a month or so, right? Even if you had all the time in the world. But at least I guess he can teach you how to counter them. But Knight Gawain was like, no, you don't really need that. Like, what's the point? Everybody thinks guns are the new thing, and we don't need all of these fancy schmancy swords anymore, sword styles anymore. And Klein's like, I don't think so. I don't think they're useless. I think they're just a little bit behind. I think we just need to give them a redesign, basically, and make them more portable. And he's like, imagine this. If we have a platoon of highly skilled sword masters and, I don't know, spear masters with guns, imagine how crazy that would be. Because he was also thinking about, I don't know, the modern world. I don't know what it is with armies, if they actually learn how to wield a sword in China, but he is kind of comparing it to combat tactics and the special forces on Earth. And I was like, well, I have no knowledge of that, so I can't really judge. So maybe it is accurate. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. Gawain looks at him and he seems to be considering it until he tells Klein to do his sets 10 times. And when Klein was done with his workout, he said he was about to puke because it was that hard. But hey, at least you got abs out of that, Klein. Like, you are, After that, he actually goes to the evil dragon bar to check on beyond their ingredients if they have, what he needs, like the rose with the human face and the horn of a goat from Hornacius mountain range, if I remember correctly. So he goes there and he's like, I don't see the monster Ademisol. Where the fuck is he? Because usually he's there being terrified of me. I miss seeing his terrified face. So he actually asked the guard, hey, what happened to Ademisol? And the dude's like, I don't know. And he's like, well, he usually is just here, muttering to himself. And Klein's like, yeah, I know. And I'm a little bit worried because old Neil told him that the only reason Ademisol actually, survives in his state is because the owner, Sawain, he feeds Ademisol. And when I read it, I was like a pet? Why did I think that? Why? Because Ademisol, Yeah, I'm imagining a demisel as like kind of like a rat, a big human-like rat. For some reason, that's why I was like a pet. So Klein's like, that is kind of weird. So I'm gonna go and try and figure out where a demisol is after I finished my shopping. Like, he's gonna figure it out with divination, right? So he's like, okay, let's get on with this. He goes at the end of the trade market, and there's like two rooms over there. Old Neil explained to him that one room is basically for trading, and finding out, I guess, what uh beyond their materials are available, and the other is to trade jewels and whatever money that they need for purchase, right? So he found himself there. He went to the room where he can find the materials, and he found out that there's actually two rooms over there. One is kind of like a lobby, so he waited at the lobby until it's his turn. And when it was his turn, he asked the person if, like, what kind of ingredients they have. Like, he wants to see all of the ingredients that they have, because again, this is the thing, a lot of beyonders are secretive, and it's totally normal for people to just ask whatever ingredients they have instead of specifying. He didn't tell them that he needed the face of a rose, human faced rose. I'm trying to figure out how it's worded in the novel again, but he didn't ask for that. He just said, give me all of your list. So he did that. He saw that they do have the human faced rose stock, whatever thing, but it was around 200 something pounds. And he's like, that is a lot of money. I cannot afford that. I am the poorest owner of a secret evil, well, not really evil, secret organization. Anyway, Klein is like, oh, this is a little bit embarrassing, but I guess I will have to just do exchanges with the Nighthawks and all of the Tarot Club members, which is Audrey and, Alger. All, there's two members right now at least. So it's like, I'll just do exchanges with them. Whatever. What else can I do? I don't have the money to buy it directly from the market. So instead of going home, because again, it's not just that he wanted to find information, like if they have the ingredients that he needed at the market, he is actually also there to buy ingredients for his charms, the charms that he's going to start making on his own. After purchasing everything, he was actually on his way home when he saw old Neil at the entrance of the bar. And he's like, oh, hey, old Neil. So they had a small chat, but their chat was interrupted when the owner, Sawain, approached them in his military uniform of the mandated Punisher, and is like, guys, I need your help. There is one Beyonder going crazy, like they lost control, and we need to finish them off before they harm commoners. And that is how the chapter ends. Chapter 129 is called Rampager. In this chapter, it's actually the first time Klein actually ever witnessed a Beyonder that lost control, especially a Beyonder that's an ally. He remembered that Captain Dunn once told him that a quarter of their cases was actually about suppressing and killing Beyonders that lost control. And most of the time, those Beyonders are actually their teammates. And Klein's like, damn, that's sad. So old Neil asked Swain, where is the Rampager? What do you need us to do? And Klein was a little bit surprised because he expected old Neil to be like, oh, I don't want to do this, I'm too old. He expected him to ask for compensation because that's just how old Neil is, the one that he knows. He actually has never seen old Neil be this serious. That's why he was surprised. So Swain then tells them that they are going to be his support. So the three of them rushes over to where the Rampager was, and in their rush they didn't notice that they got the attention of three guards looking at them. One of them was a guy with a guy wearing Old Navy uniform, and another was wearing a classic dark robe, and another a black trench coat. And they were specifically described by the narrative, by the narration. And I thought that was a little bit suspicious because these three guards, they actually did, I don't think they followed them. They went into the evil dragon bar. So that's suspicious. Why else would the narration point those three out if it wasn't important at some point in the future, right? Sus. So Klein and Co, they arrive at the docks, and on that dock there's a boat. On that boat is actually the Rampager, and Swain said that the Rampager is being surrounded by two mandated punishers so that it doesn't, dive into the Tusok River and escape, because this Rampager, he is actually part fish. He looks like a part fish, like very similar to the one that we saw in the Donghua. Old Neil gave Klein a charm so that he doesn't feel nervous, and Klein is like, thank you. And he kept that charm with him, but also pulled out his revolver and his cane. You know what? I was thinking he really likes to fight with his cane a lot. I have a feeling that his cane, at some point in the future, it will turn into a sword. Like, you pull out a sword out of that cane, that kind of thing. Kind of like, the guy from Bleach, the one with the hat. Yusuke Urahara? Yes, that guy. Kind of like that guy, It's just a feeling, a small feeling that I have. It's a feeling that I have because I think it's really cool, and Klein is going to be super cool in the future. So, I don't know. Anyway, the fight ensues, yada yada yada, and it was only calmed down because Old Neil, he used a charm that he has to make the monster sleepy, and that in turn made Swain, he started punching, and he's like accumulating energy for the final release of a supernova punch kind of thing. Before that, of course, Klein actually shot the monster, and the monster kind of saw him and was like, the fuck, dude? And started charging at him. And before Klein could die, he actually, he was actually saved by Old Neil. That's the thing, right? Sorry, I'm really bad at explaining fights. So Klein shot the monster charged at him, and Old Neil cast a spell, the charm spell, to make it sleepy. And the monster staggered around, and Swain started punching it until he accumulated enough energy to do one last super punch. But that was before Klein, Klein actually also used his silver charm, the sleeping charm, to help out Swain. And then the monster died. That's the best description I can do for this fight. Okay, I am very bad at fight descriptions. We then find out that the Rampager was actually a colleague of Swain. They have worked together for 30 years. So it's kind of sad that he had to kill him because he lost control. And Klein is like, that is really sad. At some point in the future, I might have to fight a fellow Nighthawk and other Beyonders that he fought with. And he also thinks it's very sad that the Nighthawks, the Mandated Punishers, and the Hive Mind, they don't get any recognition at all for their jobs. At some point in their life, they're just going to die, and nobody will know, nobody will care, except for their fellow Nighthawks and, Beyonders. Because again, they are a secret organization. They're there to help people, but the people don't know they exist. So he finds that a little bit sad. That's basically how chapter 129 ends. And it is pretty sad if you think about it. Chapter 130 is called Backlund's Secret Gathering. In this chapter, we actually are still with Klein at the beginning. Him and Old Neil, they left the Mandated Punishers to grieve on their own as they head home. So Klein is like, oh, wait a second, old Neil. What's going on with your hand? Is something wrong? Are you hurt? And old Neil's like, yeah, I got a small scratch. Don't worry about it. One of the shrapnel, it kind of just, scratched me earlier. It's no big deal. And Klein looked at it and was like, "Oh yeah, it's really not too bad. But you know what? I was thinking old Neil is a very, very old man. Old people are extremely fragile. So there is a huge ass chance that that can become something more serious in the future, you know? It's just you gotta watch out for the old folks, okay?" Klein also points out that old Neil, you're very, very calm during all this fiasco. And old Neil's like, "Oh, Klein, I've been a Beyonder for far too long. Way before you were born, probably." And there was this one time, like, he's like, "This incident here is like very basic for me. It's not even in the top 10 of the craziest shit that happened in my life as a Beyonder." And then he explains to Klein that one time he got jumped by a zombie and almost had his neck snapped until Dunn, who was, patrolling with him at that cemetery, until Dunn put that zombie to sleep. And Klein is like, "What the fuck?" Old Neil tells Klein, "I am telling you this because I need you not only to believe in yourself, but also to believe in your teammates. Like, your teammates are important. There's a reason the Nighthawks, they are deployed in twos or trios whenever they're, doing assignments outside of guarding the Chinese gate. Like, the Chinese gate is the only time a Nighthawk is actually really alone, if you think about it." And when Klein heard that, Klein's like, "Damn, old Neil, you're really wise today." And old Neil tells him, "Klein, you really only meet the insignificant, crazy part of myself. You don't meet the wise old man, ever, until now. So hi, hello." They went on their separate ways. Klein went home and actually met Melissa at not really at the door, but she's like putting away her hat. And Melissa's like, "Oh, Klein, welcome back. You just got back, huh?" And they looked at each other and it's like, "Wait, why are you here right now?" And they're like, "Yeah, I mean," Melissa's like, "Well, we had practical lessons today, so..." And then they looked at each other. "Well, wait, if you're here and I'm here, then who's cooking?" So they look at the kitchen and Benson comes out and is like, "Why do you guys look so surprised that I'm cooking? Who do you guys think taught you guys how to cook?" Well, it's not like he said that he taught them how to cook, but he's like, "Before Melissa knew how to cook, I was the one cooking and you guys always waited for me." And Melissa and Klein looked at each other and they didn't say or think anything, but I feel like it's implied that Benson is not really a good cook and that they're worried that he's gonna burn the house down. Yeah. And also that they were waiting for him when they were young because they are worried that he's going to burn the house down. Klein mentions a maidservant again. Like, he really wants to get a maid. And Benson is like, "Yeah, that's good. As long..." And Klein's like, "As long as they can cook. We need a maidservant that can cook. That's very important to him." And Benson's like, "Yeah, we can go to the association that has them, like, like a maidservant association." And Melissa's like, "I don't know, guys. I'm still against this," because she's really adamant against maidservants because she does not want a stranger in her house. She's like, "I feel awkward if they're just standing there while we eat." And Klein's like, "Well, once it's dinner time, we can just send them back to their room to rest, I'm sure that she would appreciate having a time for herself and resting. Nobody would be against chilling." Melissa really can't do anything because it's 2 against 1. Plus, they're both the breadwinners of the family that's suggesting this. So she's like, "Fine." And then we cut off the scene and get to Audrey's POV. In Audrey's POV, she just left the party and went inside her room to her personal maid Annie. Well, it's not really her room, but it's a room that the Viscount prepared. And I think by the Viscount, she means Viscount Glaint. Her gay BFF. So Annie was waiting there, and Audrey changed into a black hooded robe to conceal her identity to the best of her abilities. She actually put a hat with fishnets or something on again so that her face is like covered more thoroughly. Annie is super worried about Audrey, and she's like, Audrey, you need to come back within an hour, because Audrey seems like she's going to be sneaking off somewhere because she's dressed really suspiciously, you know? And Audrey's like, don't worry, I never broke my promise, right? I'll be back in an hour. And then she gave Annie a hug and a kiss on the cheek as etiquette demanded. It says as etiquette demanded. I don't remember there being an etiquette like that ever. Like, do you guys know? Like, sus. Audrey went out through a secret door, and from that door she actually went to another side door where she found Glaint standing in the shadows with a carriage waiting there. And Glaint looked at her secret outfit, and was like, you look very cool, as Emperor Roselle used to say. And I was like, of course Emperor Roselle would be saying very cool and like modern slang. Waiting for them outside the house is actually Force, Wall, and Xia Darecha. I keep saying Xia Darecha, but it's actually Xio Darecha. Sorry guys for that mispronunciation. So Xia Darecha is there because she's an excellent persuader. And Audrey also notices that Xia Darecha is actually very short. She's like 150 centimeters tall. And I was like, that is tiny. I am 155 centimeters, so I know the height is there. And anyone below my height is tiny in my eyes, okay? Xia Derecha is wearing a traditional night training suit. Audrey asks Xia Derecha, can I trust you? And she's like, yeah, you can trust me for sure. I will do my best to persuade the people that you want to persuade. Basically. So they look at each other and they're about to leave when a dagger fell out of Xia Derecha's clothes. And they both looked at each other and is like, the fuck? And Force is like, there are some people that can only be persuaded with daggers, like can only be spoken with calmly with a weapon. This is just for insurance, let's just say it like that. And when they were talking like that, I was like, it's no wonder this girl got jailed, like Xia Darecha, if she's talking with people with a dagger. Like, come on. Cuttlefish actually described the blade as a triangular blade, so I'm guessing it's more of a kunai than a dagger, but Anyway, they went inside the house. They had to do a secretive knock and went inside, and all of the people there are also hooded and secretive. They're hiding their identity. And I am guessing that these are all people that are Beyonders. And one of the Beyonders that Audrey notices is also wearing a hood, and that they checked her out and she felt so slimy and icky when she realized that. And Force actually introduced that guy to Audrey as Mr. A very powerful Beyonder and the leader of this secret gathering. And I was like, Mr. A and then Mr. Z, very, very sus. Are they actually related to each other in some way? Yeah, and that is how the chapter ends. I am going to take a wild guess and say that this is how Audrey gets into the psychology alchemist. Yeah, sus. I don't know, I feel like it's, or maybe she's actually going to be trading some, I don't know, notes for Emperor Roselle's diaries or Beyonder potions. Actually, does Force already know that Audrey is a Beyonder? Is the question here. Because that was their deal. They actually get Xia Darecha out of jail, and they get the potion, right? The recipe for it. So, sauce. Anyway, that was Lord of the Mysteries chapter 126 till 130. What did you guys think of all these chapters? Tell me, guys. Tell me. Also, before I go, please leave a like, subscribe, and a comment. It helps my channel out a lot. My commissions are open, one slot. Remember, And my Vision link is down in the description below. Check out my story Dreaming of Aurora if you have the time. And finally, thanks to my patrons Robek, Vanarik, and J. Volchevalitska for the support. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!